Welcome, everyone. Hi, your mics are now muted, but please write in the chat box and tell us where you're tuning in from and if you can hear me okay. A few housekeeping things to start out with. You are welcome to ask questions anytime. If you have questions during the call, please use the chat box. Or if you'd like to ask your question live, please find the raise hand button from the participants list and we can unmute your mic and you can ask your question live if that's what you'd like to do. Cool, if you haven't met me yet, my name's Shannon. I work for Aerosports in digital marketing and I'll be your host today, as well as our guest, Mason. Mason is here to talk about Headup Tracking again. We did one last week as well and it was a really popular seminar, so welcome Mason.
Hello, guys.
Awesome. To start with, I know that we went into a bit of a rabbit hole last week with lots of questions, but we had a couple left over. So we'll start with one that we had from Matt Smith, and he wanted to know some tips for chasing from inside the plane for head-up tracking jumps.
Cool, excellent. So this was one that was quite common. I can see from the participant list, there's a couple people on here that were from here last time. So this actually works out really well. We can pick up where we left from. Cool, so first the exits, exits can be a bit of they are a tricky one, I guess. The biggest tip I can give from exits is get used to stuffing them up because you'll stuff them up a lot. Now, what I will show you first is, actually I'll show you the stuff ups first, that's probably easier. So these two exit recoveries from probably the harder position, which is whether you like to call it pushing or going forward. So I call head up, back flying is when you're going facing this way and going forwards, okay? Because essentially you're flying on your back. Cool, so I'm gonna do a screen share now. And sorry if my head all of a sudden comes really close to the screen. All right, so we are up again. So if you need to move your box, I'm not sure if you can see the box, move that around so you can see it easier. And we will go to these ones. So this is all about head up recovering, okay? So most of the time, the reason I show head up recovering for exits is because most of the time, you're not gonna get a good exit, okay? So can everyone see that? Can you see the screen there, Shane, without the box blocking or?
Yeah, I can see the screen. It's got the play button. But...
Cool, we'll move that up there. Ugh. All right, I'm sorry, I'm just having a bit of technical difficulties with shit popping up on my screen. Let me get back. All right, cool. So what we're gonna see here, we exit and all right, so everyone you can see usually they're exiting quite head high at the moment. So what's happening generally is they're going ready, set, and a lot of them are jumping off. You can see Brent here, he's kind of already in a sit position. Bogues is quite head high, and same with Ben over here. Now what happens after this is their legs are going to flick up in the air and they're going to fall on their back. And the key to recovery from the exit is not rushing. Okay, so it's the place of where you put your feet after you fall on the back. So as I said, this is normal to happen. So a lot of them cork, but Bogey's cork there, and you can see as he goes to accelerate, he won't push his legs towards the ground. He's going to push his legs towards where the prop is. And Ben here should do the same. He's a bit of an anomaly down here. He just hops straight off in a steep position, but that's why Brent's gone steeper straight away. Okay, so he's carried that speed. So you see Bogsy, as he straightens, he now recovers. Okay, so he doesn't panic, he doesn't tumble, he just accepts the fact that he had a really shitty exit. Watch that again. So tumbling, just chilling, and then straightening up again. Same with the other guys. Okay, when you do a crappy exit, you are going to be far away. That's just how it is. Okay, so the other thing I want you to notice here is what are these guys doing with their arms? Okay, can you see anyone really pushing with their arms too much? I can see maybe a push here. on Ben's arm, and maybe a little bit here, but you can see they're not actually pushing on the wind. It more looks like they're balancing, like they're walking across a tightrope. Okay, so it's more balancing. You don't want to push on the wind. See, still no pushing. Their arms are waving, just nice and relaxed. So the key is what you can see. You're not trying to push down on the wind to get stable. The arms are very relaxed, like that squiggly, wavy arm man that you see out the front of the car shops. Same with Bogues. He didn't have one input on his arm then. Okay, so this is the key to recovering. Not using your arms and not trying to get stability with your arms. And the same as we had last week, talking a lot about flying and controlling with those feet and those legs. Cool, so still nothing with the arms, nothing with the arms. It's all with those legs. All right, so let's go to another one and we'll see how we go. Have we got any questions from that really, Shen, from anyone so far?
Not yet in the chat box. I was wondering one thing. We talk about our head position a lot with head up flying as well. During these exits, what should we be doing mostly with our head?
Excellent, good question. So look at Fong here, and then you can look at Dom on the left over here. So you'll see these two slightly different head positions, okay? So you can see Dom's head, if we be picky, Dom's head's just slightly in front of this arm, okay? And this arm's coming back. So you can see the head's kind of a little bit forward. He may be thinking putting his head back right now. If you can see me in that little box to the side, he may not be thinking putting his head forward. He may be actually thinking putting his head back. But that by that act of putting it back, by rotating it this way instead of this way, or instead of just falling back, that's what kind of puts his head forward in itself. So that's why I said before previously, if there's the three different types of head back, head back, head back, or head back. And it's the third one we're going for, pulling that back so it's nice and in line with the body. You can see with Fongy, just here, Fong's head's just quite relaxed, okay? Bogsy's on another jump, looking down that way. And then you got the other guys, their heads are quite forward. So if we go frame by frame, you can still see Fong's head's quite back. And you can see here, Dom on the left, he's starting to push with his arms and his head's coming forwards. Dom will nail this, okay? He does nail it. So this is why as well I like to say there's no right or wrong position. Just think about the reactions to certain actions. Okay, so the reason Dom pulled this off is because he's left his shins and his torso in the wind and he hasn't fought. He's just held the position and accepted the position. So that's why sometimes when you hold the position, if you hold it, just let it do what it needs to do. Once you've come off the hill, then you can start moving. If you start trying to fight and flail like these two guys did, you're going to start moving around a lot. So let's watch this in slow motion. Be faster than that. Okay. So it was a pretty shitty exit here for a couple of reasons. So Fong left when I did, usually on ready, set. On set, he should have let go. Dom should have let go. And on go, Fong should be coming with me. So I've said go, and we've still got 1, 2, 3, 4, all holding onto the plane. So these guys, it's the same as head down. Leave when you're meant to leave. Ready, set. The back guys go over here, and then go. The front guys go. Okay. It is hard to see sometimes, but that's what's going to set you up for a clean exit. Now, the other thing is keeping this torso nice and straight into relative wind. But as I said, we're talking about shit exits here, not good exits. Okay. We can see flapping with the arms, trying to save themselves, trying to push off the wind, trying to recover. And that tumble itself, doing a backflip. Okay. That tumble is going to be what's making it worse. So just like Dom, he didn't do necessarily the best exit, but he held the position. Okay, same with Fongy. He didn't push off his arms. He just accepted the position. And then they waited for their time. And then now Fong, he straightens his legs towards the prop, just the same as Dom is, towards the prop. So the key here still, again, it's those shins, it's those legs. You can see their shins and their legs are almost at the same pitch and angle as what their torso is. Okay, torso here, angle here. You can see the legs here, angle here. And you can see here, his legs, he's trying to pull them down, and his torso's at a completely different angle. Same with just here, Ben. He's trying to pull his legs down, and his torso's at a different angle. And this is why Fong and Dom straight away have nice, even though they've done a horrible exit, they've done a really good exit and they recovered quickly. Let's see how quickly they come back. So they maintain that position as well. They don't go steep or anything like this. They just maintain that nice position. As in, when I say position, I mean that angle with the legs and the torso matching. Is there any questions from shit exits?
No questions at the moment, but could you just show those head positions one more time that you were showing before without your screen share on? And then we can just
yes, I can.
Back, and then everyone can actually see you on the screen quickly there. That would be awesome.
Yep. I need to figure out how to do the stop screen share again. Sorry. Excellent. So you can see me fully again?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So the 3 head positions. 1, if I'm neutral, I'm just sitting straight. Let's see if I can push that back again. So I'm just sitting straight. If I put my head back, when I say head back first one, I mean chin to the back of the skull. And when you see the chin to the back of the skull, you'll see how the top of the skull slightly comes forward. So essentially this surface area at the back of my head, which I can use, I'm taking that away. Okay, so I'm not allowing that to be exposed to any wind. All right, now I've exposed the neck, and so it's more of a similar shape. I'm not screen sharing, that's right. It's more of a similar shape to an arch. Okay, so it's not like this, it's more of an arch, like that. Now, if I do putting the head back and lifting the chin, like this, you'll see that this shape, gotta put the headphones in, you'll see that this shape is hiding the back of the neck. Okay, so I'm not necessarily getting the wind that I need lifting here. It's hitting my back, then it's hitting my head. Whereas when I have this shape and I stretch, so it's more of if I'm slouched, it's more of a stretching out and keeping that neutral. Now the wind's going to be hitting the back of my body. It's going to be coming up the head and then running off. So it's hitting more of a smoother flow rather than being hidden within the body shape itself. Make sense?
Yeah. And one other thing I was wondering, Nathan, is when you're stacking the head up exits and you're doing the turning for the exit, how is it best to stack them in terms of who comes off first? Is it from the rear or from the front of the door that comes off first?
It's the rear, so it's the opposite to head down. So head down, everyone's leaving from the prop. So 1, 2, 3, and that's because the air. So if the plane's going this way, we have 1, 2, and we're getting that clean air. Whereas this way, because these guys are at the back of the formation, because we're traveling along here, we have them guys leave first. So the next part I'm going to talk about is good exits and how to actually stack and where to orientate and position your body, because head down, we're all leaning this way and we're falling off. So if that's the prop there, we're falling off. Head up, we don't want to exit like that. We want to let the feet have to leave last. So if we let go of the hands and then jumping off, and you'll see on those horrible exits, the shitty exits, the guys, a lot of them, they were jumping up off the plane and then trying to go back. So you want to think about just letting go, falling back off the plane, and then just as you fall, then you're just tapping those legs off. So we'll see if I can pull those ones up. Let's see, I will pull those ones up. Normal. All right, so I'll go screen share again. Okay, so I will show some belly exits now because I didn't show much of that last time. So this is what I mean. This is good. This is a setup one. Okay. So this is what I mean by setting up. Okay. So you can see me climbing out the plane. And as I said last time, best way to do this stuff, just do it 2 ways, guys. Find a mate you can do 2 ways with. Okay. So you can see here, as I'm climbing out, I have my hand right at the back of the plane. Okay. So it's behind me essentially. Now my other hand's in front, and then I'm going to lean forward. Okay, so see how I'm leaning as much forward as possible and the legs as far as behind me, and I have an arm behind me. So that way, when I let go of this first hand, which is the front lead hand, this is going to be the first position that leaves the plane. I'm still holding on with the hands at the back. Once they leave, the last thing to leave, my foot is still on the plane. And the reason this is it allows my torso to fall to the ground before the feet have left. So still, foot still on the plane, still on the plane, still on the plane, hands are off. And you can see now, because I've let that torso go, the shin down here is still in the line with the same as the torso. And this shin is starting to become in the same line as the torso. And when I say the line, I mean the aerodynamic line of where the hill is, where we're coming off. Okay, so it's obviously not directly towards the prop. It's probably like a 45-degree angle down as I start leaving off, and just adapting the knee fly position. Okay, so just think about knee flying in the tunnel. I know some people really hate that position. For me, it's good. I'm pretty sure you like that one, don't you, Shannon?
Oh, I love it. My favorite.
So the key here is letting the torso go. It's not so much just about the legs or the arms or anything like this. It's just being able to let the torso fall into the wind. So essentially you're kind of doing a belly jump. Okay. And the last thing is to leave the plane are the feet.
And the term knee flying, Mason, I guess it's a little bit misleading in a way, because we're not actually flying on our knees, are we? It's more our shins that we're flying on.
Yeah, it's more our shins and more our belly and our torso, I guess. So the more you actually start arching and leaning backwards on the knee fly, you'll actually start going steeper. So you can see here, as I've come off, I'm still knee flying or on the shins, and that's a good point Shannon brought up. Like, they are slightly back a little bit, so I am copying wind on the shins. I don't want to be feeling wind on the back of my calves as I'm exiting. If I'm feeling wind on the back of my calves as I'm exiting in this position here, I've probably exited too head high. Okay, I've probably jumped up instead of letting my torso fall and then just popping off the plane. So it's more like a pop. And when I say pop, it's just a tap, like if you're flicking a fly or something like that. Yeah, it's real small tap. You don't want to launch off the plane. Okay, so that's a good exit and the theory we're thinking about with this. Now I'll show you another one. This is a bit more of an extreme one. Okay, this is Antonio, so he's leaving from inside the plane as well, and we're kind of slot switching. So he's at the back. So I'm not trying to show the good exit on this. The whole thing I'm trying to show on this is the orientation of the body and where he straightens his legs. Okay, so sorry, I'll put that on mute again. So as you ready, set, go. Okay, so you can see he's almost head down at this point. He's head low. So his head are actually lower than his feet. So as we start accelerating through here, you can see he's stretched his legs out into relative wind, and he's still almost essentially on his belly flying. It's really flat. Move this one out of the way. So he's super flat, and he's just stretched out into that same direction of what he needs to go into. So the ideal spot is belly. Getting on your belly, just think belly flying. Don't try to dive out so your legs go over your head so much. Just try to pop straight out, straight onto the guts. And you can see how flat he maintains up.
And what's the differences with the arm position in this than normal balance? Is it similar? What do people do with their arms when they're exiting?
What does it look like he's doing? I'll put the question back on you.
Yeah,
does it look
like a nice relaxed bend?
Yeah, looks the same. Same as belly, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's exact same. It's exact same. For this position itself, it's the exact same as belly. Same for the other one, it's back flying. We said on the previous one that we done, when we're going, we talked a lot about back flying head up. So I'm not going to call it pushing, I'll just call it back flying because it's back flying. We talked about not pushing off the arms, because if we push off the arms, this is what's going to cause drag. So this is essentially the same with, I'm pointing at a screen where you can't see it. This is essentially where Antonio is doing the same here with his forearms. He's not pushing down on the wind. So if I play real quick again, see how he's just letting the arms go. He's not really pushing too much. He's just kind of having them in line with his body. There's a little bit of grab every now and then, a little bit of relax, a little bit of grab, a little bit of relax. Okay, so you're not really necessarily having to hold. There we go. You're not necessarily having to hold the wind as such. It's kind of just sitting there and guiding, just the same as if you're driving a car. You want to drive around a corner, you're not going to go and turn. It's like just driving around the corner and then return to neutral. A lot of the time what we see is when people starting to learn head up, they drive around the corner, then they hold going straight, and then they drive around the corner and they hold. So when you return to neutral, that's when you want to try and relax your body, chill out. Okay, I need to put input. Okay, I can chill, relax my body. Put input, I can chill, relax my body. Ah, who's that? Dom, who are you? You're watching, are you? Jesus, that's right. He's actually watching. Yeah, good to use him as an example from before. So yeah, try not to hold the wind, just return to neutral then. Cool. Is there any questions for any of that stuff about the head up stuff there, Shen, or?
No questions yet. We have 20 minutes to go, guys. We're about halfway through. So if you do have your questions for Mason,
yes, start shooting them through. I will show, what's this one? Ooh, that's a lot of noisy. Okay, so this is an in-face one. So I'll move on real quick. If we got no more, I'll just move on real quick after this. So this is in-face real quick. Try not to exit from inside the plane like this. I'm on screen share, aren't I? Yep.
No, not at the moment.
Ooh, lucky. Okay, cool.
Perfect.
There we go. So this is probably one of the hardest exits to do for head up. You're exiting from inside the plane, facing the rear of the door, and going to exit facing then the prop. So the reason I show this one is I want to show one, that it's possible, and two, the key principles that we're talking about with having the torso leaning back. So ready, set, boom, and see how the last thing again to leave the plane is the feet. Okay, so as I'm exiting here, I'm then thinking about rotating the body along like an individual axis, just like a spinning top. And then the key is still not pushing with the arms so much, just keeping those legs nice and straight. Okay, so you can see here still, we almost push with the arms there and then start relaxing again. Okay, so the key is the legs and getting those shins in line with the torso. So letting the torso fall straight back. And you can see straight away again, we're pushing in towards where the prop is. Okay, we're not trying to push down or try to go vertical to the ground. We're just getting straight towards that prop at a 45-degree angle down. You'll actually feel these, hey? If you can, a really, really, really good way to exit, and you can see how I'm kind of going down like a skate ramp, I guess, or a wave. So I have the feet not necessarily straight forward and straight left and right. They are kind of like I'm going a bit daffy, and then I turn afterwards. Same with that little hiccup that was performed there. Oops, shit. Just there, just that part. So I screwed it. Yep, push that left leg down a little bit and then straighten again. So you don't necessarily need to jam the legs down. Just try to keep them so they're into relative wind. If you need to go into a sit fly like you saw Dom do before, which was perfect, just hold the sit. That's the key. Don't try to force it. Just hold whatever position. When you feel the timing's correct, bam, then accelerate. And that's what you want to try and do, is accelerate after you feel the timing is correct. If you don't, you're going to get that little wobble that you can see just there as well. Okay.
Mate, we have a couple of questions coming through, so I'm just going to start from the first one. We have a question from Bo, and Bo asked, what's a good dive flow for leading a group of people looking for an intro to head up angles? Like how to get them head up moving quickly without having everyone exit head up.
Do two ways. Two ways. Don't waste your time. Seriously, do two ways. Don't bother trying to get heaps of people doing it. You're better off doing smaller groups and exiting head up and taking your time to do it that way. I personally believe. I don't like doing head up jumps where we go from an angle and then we key it to head up halfway through with beginners, because I've seen too many times people chasing and almost coming through and just smacking into people. I really regret doing that a long time ago and showing a lot of stuff like this, because we started doing this a while ago and we didn't understand the implications that this was having. It can have some very dangerous consequences. So practice your head up exits and go vertical. I would say. If you really want to do it in a group jump, go vertical, get together first, and then start slowly moving this way. And that way you're not necessarily needing to practice the flat head up exits as much. You're practicing, you can have a crappy exit, you can start getting together, close that distance, and then start moving. That's what we were going to be doing at the foot fetish that we unfortunately missed out on last week. Was we were going to be doing all the beginner guys, we were going to be doing this way. Vertical groups, so say 6 ways I think they were. Once they get together, then start moving slowly. The leader cannot be straight. The leader has to be bent. If the leader is straight, all these beginner flyers are trying to fly as fast as the experienced leader. So the experienced leader has to fly at about a 70, a 60, 50, okay. The leader has to fly at about a 50 to 70% speed range, like fast, downwards. So that way the beginner flyers, they have range. If the leader's flying at 90% or 100%, the followers will never catch them, okay? Because they're learning for one, but they really need to have that range to go faster. But if they can't catch the leader, then they're never going to catch. So my recommendation is bite the bullet in the ass, stick to your head up exits, do it, unfortunately, because just like when we started doing head down exits, unfortunately for the first 20 jumps, you just weren't there. So suck eggs and yeah, and practice those exits. That's my recommendation. Yeah.
Something like that with head up, isn't it? Like we do all these jumps when we're head down to learn things and suck for so long, and then with head up we kind of get annoyed really quickly when we don't nail it on the first go. It's really rare to see people put the same, if it's not the right word, but be patient enough with themselves to suck for all those jumps, even though we already did that. Like knowing how to go back and student again is really important.
Exactly. That's the key from what we found. And that's why for the foot fetish, we made a rule of there's no head down. Like if you went head down once, you had to put a carton on, and that was it. And the reason is it's drilling that. It's because it's making you humble again, and because people who are generally starting to do head up moving, their head down and their tracking is really good. So they want to go to the next stage and they want to cheat and go, fuck it, I don't want to do the exit because I'll be far away. Well, suck eggs, be far away. You'll learn. You'll get there quicker if you do that. So next question.
Exactly. Okay, so we had a couple of more about arm positions, and don't worry, Ian, I'll come back to your head down question in a second. So from Adil wanted to know, can you explain again when you actually use your arms to push and when you relax them?
Yes. Okay. The only time I use my arms to push, the only time is if I am changing the pitch of my angle. So say if I'm going extremely fast vertical head up and I want to then go flat, I essentially have to slow myself down with my arms. Then I have to change my pitch and then I have to release my arms again. Okay. If I'm going to try and brake, personally for me, I will try and brake with my legs because it gives me a little bit more control, and it's harder at the moment, but it's more efficient later on down the track. So I will brake my legs. But in the beginning, you can brake with your arms for sure. This gives you control. But in doing that, just be aware that it's like at the back of a canopy. If you're flying this way in the canopy and you pull the tail down, you're going to flatten out. Okay. So if you do this and you're going quite fast downwards and you brake with the arms and you accidentally lean, your legs may cork out without you intending. So that's the main keys. I use them to brake, slow right down, change pitch, and then go. If I want to change vertical again, I might need to brake with my arms again, change pitch, and then accelerate again. Generally, that's the only time I'm really doing it. If I'm trying to recover, I try as hard as I can not to push with the arms, because if you think in terms of drag, anytime you push on the wind or present or feel tension, it's because wind's hitting that. Therefore, it's drag. Therefore, it's slowing you down. So you're essentially slowing yourself down by doing this. So if you release, then you're going to be controlling. You're going to be flying a lot smoother. You'll have a little bit more control.
And keeping on the same topic with the arms, I mean, I guess a lot of us, especially those of us who didn't have tunnel before learning to fly head up, we're used to using our arms a lot for stability. So Laura's asking, what's your best tip for learning to use your arms less for stability and head up, and learning to use your lower body and balance more without your arms?
Know what happens when you use your arms. So don't, and this is where I say it's a catch-22. I don't like to say don't do things, do things. Just know what happens when you use your arms. So if you're using them, you at least go, okay, I know they are my safety net. That's fine. You're comfortable. You're in position. Then slowly release them. Whoop, I'm wobbling. Boom. Go back to your safety net. Okay, I'm good. Okay, now release again. Okay, now I'm wobbling. And each time you let go, just try to make that time a little bit longer and a little bit longer and a little bit longer. It might take you 4 or 5 or 6 jumps. That's just the same thing. These things happen over time. So just try to build, the main key thing is build awareness to what you're currently doing. Then you have a clear picture to where you're at, and then slowly build and slowly build and slowly build. And then next minute you can start building that bigger picture. Whereas if you're here and you think you're actually over here, you're going to be working on something completely different. So stage 1, know where you're at, learn your level, learn what your controls are. If your controls are wrong, which nothing's right or wrong, it's just, that's what it is. Okay. I've seen plenty of people fly hunched over. I've seen plenty of people fly straight together. It all works. Okay. There's efficient and non-efficient. So when I say try not to use your arms, it's try not to use your arms. You can use them, just try not to. It's better to not to. Yeah.
And we had a head down question from Ian asking, what's the best exit position or grips for a first timer doing a 2-way head down jump?
Say that again, sorry.
So a 2-way head down jump, what's the best exit position or grips for a first timer doing their first 2-way head down jump?
This is about head up, so unfortunately I'll leave that question to later because there's a head up seminar. So yeah, grab a hand and ready, set, go back. Yeah, I'll leave that one for later. Send me a message on that one, on personal message. I'll answer your question then for sure. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So Dominic is asking, can you explain the position and angle of the feet, the finer details of how the feet work?
Okay, yes I can. Oh shit.
And we have about 7 minutes left, so if we manage to get through this question, that's probably going to be nearly the end for us. If you have anything else quick that anyone wanted to ask.
If there's any other ones, shoot them up, because this one could take a little bit longer as well, but shoot them over. So, okay, controls. And feet. All right, we'll use this one, can be one. And sorry guys, I'm just getting it so you can see it properly. All right, so feet. If you look at the feet here, you'll see a couple different controls. So what I'm doing at the moment is I'm pointing my toes to gain that speed forward. And essentially what's happening is when you point your toes, you cork out. So going forwards is just corking on purpose. Okay, so you can see here, toes are up, arms are back in line with the body, the torso is flat, and the legs are in line with the torso as well. And as you can see, just this slight little change of the toes is what's accelerating the body forward here by pointing the toes. Okay, this here, as it transitions over, I think I go to knee flow position, maybe not. Looks like we haven't, no. And then again, it's all to do with those toes again. That's one of them. I'll try and give a better one. Gaining lift in face. Here we go. This is a good one. Okay, so we're watching Antonio to the left. So same thing, if you can all see him down here, his toes are doing what mine were just doing before, pointing to the sky, pointing quite vertical. And then you'll start seeing him moving his feet a lot more. So see the controls in his feet? That's where all the controls are coming from. all through here. He's just using the point, and he's also steering the legs like a fin, the feet in a different direction if he wants to turn. The hands are quite relaxed, pointing along the same line as his body, the same as mine here. His head's back, looking under the arm, so it's not forward, it's under, and it's not crimped, it's straight going, the crown is going straight through the line of his body. Okay, arms are still relaxed, same as myself, and you can see he's steering with his feet as he starts going towards the sky. So he's actually driving past me at the moment. Okay, still steering with the feet. My head's still behind the arm. His head's still behind his arm, so he's not looking over. His hands are still relaxed. Now, what I want to show you in a sec is he's now maintaining lift, and he's about to gain even more.
Sorry, mate. I'm going to stop you there. Sorry,
go for it.
Out of time now. So, but maybe if people are interested, we can run another one with you again, because there's still plenty of topics and plenty of questions on this that we can go into.
I'm sure. And whoever that was that wanted to know about that head down position, send me a message and I'll run you through it all. So not a problem.
Perfect. And where can people find you on social media, Mason, after this? What are your pages?
Mason Corby on Facebook, or Down Under Dynamics on Facebook as well. So Down Under Dynamics, CS at the end, or downunderdynamic.com, whatever, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I am creating a YouTube channel with all this information as well. I've done my first edit, and I am currently doing this one for Headup as well. I'm doing a couple seminars on Headup flying, and I'll be doing them on all types of flying as well. So you'll be able to find all that information on the YouTube channel soon, and that will just be Down Under Dynamics. At the moment, there's only 3 or 4 videos on there. They're not tutorials. That's just movies, but there will be tutorials on there very, very, very soon.
Awesome. And if you guys are ever in Australia, you should definitely come to some of Mason's events. He runs some awesome events here, the Down Under Dynamics camps and Foot Fetish, which a lot of this footage was from today that he's been showing us. So that's awesome. All right, we're going to end off by opening up everyone's mics, and I want you all to shout a big fuck yeah. We're recording this, so Maria's going to open that up for everyone in a second. And it looks like you're all off mute. So fuck yeah! Woo!
Fuck yeah! Thanks, Mason.
All right.
Thanks, Mason. Catch you later, mate.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, Shannon.
Thanks. Guys.
Cheers, guys.
See you
Just rated. Cheers, guys. Catches.